Okay, if you're thinking about going interrailing this summer or this year, then you definitely need to watch this video, because I remember last January when I was like planning my trip, I literally couldn't find like one good video that would like explain everything just in one. So hopefully this can help someone, because I think I've got a lot of like tips and tricks about how to start. Okay, so the first step you want to think about is where you actually want to go, like interrailing. I feel like I'd actually like spend a lot of time on this, because I kind of like, when I was planning it, I kind of didn't really like think about actually like what are my main cities that I want to go to, like what do I want like bucket list, like check off. For example, I would like think about it if you're alone, and then if you're with someone, are two very different routes you might want to take. Like if you're alone, I wouldn't advise going to somewhere like small, because you might not like find like social hostels and things. Like I went to Bruges in Belgium, which is like a tiny like place, and there was like not a lot of people there. So if you're like going alone, do have to go to like more social countries. Okay, once you have like a rough idea about where you're going, this doesn't have to be exact, once you have a good idea about where roughly you're going, you can go onto the Interrail app. You can actually like plot in your route about like where, like which cities you're going for, which is actually really helpful to like see if you're going in a sensible like direction. And then Interrail should like come up with a path for you, like what they think is best for your, like how many places you want to go to. And then if you're thinking about going for like 2 weeks, I would recommend like 6 cities or like 6 places. And then I went for 4 weeks, I went to like 11, so I think anywhere like within that, like 2 or 3 nights in each place is a good amount to start with. Okay, so step 2 would be buying your pass. Now you've got like a good idea of like where you're going, you can see which pass you need. The Interrail pass is basically where you buy like one train ticket from like the eurail app, which is like, I couldn't recommend it enough. So I would get your ticket on eurail. It then gives you 10 train tickets for like within a certain time period that you can use up, but you can like choose these train tickets later on. So the first step is just to buy your ticket for like how many trips you want, and then like later you go back and then you can add in what like specific routes you want to take and stuff. So buying the pass isn't like a big commitment in itself, and also I would say you just got to do it. I remember like putting off buying my pass for ages, and just do that like off the bat, like just get it done. Once you've bought your global pass, you can now connect it to your trip on eurail to make sure everything's in one. So on the eurail app you can like create a trip, and then once you buy your global pass, you'll get given a traveler's code, I think it's called, and if you connect this to your app, if you like follow the steps how to do it, it's really simple. I can try put screenshots about like where to click and things, and then you'll have everything in one, and then you can start booking your train tickets from there. Okay, so step number 4, you need to book your first train ticket, and this comes with finding where you want to start. If you're going from England, I would recommend starting in Amsterdam and taking the Eurostar up to Amsterdam. But you've got to think like, are you going to fly there, which would cost obviously more money, or do you want to take a train and use up one of your Interrail passes? So decide where you want to start your trip first. So another thing to add on Interrail as well is you can plan your trip without actually committing to a trip, which I think is really helpful. I think it's really useful, like getting your head around like what you're going to do, but not actually committing to it, because I was really scared of doing that like at first. So you can find exactly what like trains you're going to take without actually activating them first. So once you have your starting place, you can like put in your route to the starting place, then from the next place you can find another route, and then so on and so on and so on, without actually activating your ticket yet. Because with Interrail you can add trips to your pass, but then if you actually want to use that train ticket, you press the little activate button on the day you want to travel to activate that ticket, and then it's then like a viable ticket that you can use in like a train station. Okay, once you've decided where you want to start, go on Interrail app and look at the train tickets to get to that place. So if you are taking a train, go from like London to Paris, London to Amsterdam, and you can find times. It's basically like a train app, like it is basically just like Trainline, but just abroad for all different countries. So you put in like where you want to go, and Eurail should come up with the times and the dates for that train, which is perfect. Okay, one more thing to know about buying train tickets is about seat reservations. And I remember being so confused about seat reservations, but they're actually not confusing at all. So hopefully I can try to explain like what they are. Okay, all seat reservations are an extra cost on a train ticket if it's like a really popular train or a really popular destination. So you won't have to buy a seat reservation for every single train you get on with your pass. It's only some. So you would definitely need a seat reservation if you're going like on the Eurostar from London to Paris, because that's like a really popular train. But to buy seat reservations, it's actually more simple than you think. So if you go to the Interrail app and you plug in your destination where you want to go, You can either turn off seat reservations if you just don't want to bother with them, like I did this a lot. You can just filter it to no seat reservations. You obviously won't be able to do this from like Paris, like to Paris as I said, but to pretty much every other country you can filter it so you don't have to pay for seat reservations. That's what I did. I think I paid for 2 seat reservations throughout the whole trip, just one to Paris and then one like from like another, maybe like Milan or something. But most seat reservations will be fairly cheap. You can get them for like €6, and it usually makes the trip a bit shorter. Depends how much money you want to sacrifice. Like you'll usually get a longer train with no seat reservations, or like a 6-hour one versus a 10-hour one, but you have to pay a little bit extra. So it's up to you what you want to do, where you want to spend your money. But to actually purchase your seat reservations, you go on the Interrail app. As I said, you put in your destination, basically follow the steps in the app. You can press like book your seat now, it'll take you to a different website, and if you put in your like global pass code, it will like take you to where all the seat reservations are, and you can buy them separately on like the website. But just make sure when you're buying them, you buy the right seat reservation like that links to the time of the train you're getting. So you need to remember, like if you like save a trip on Interrail for like, you know, 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock, then you go onto the website, make sure you book your seat for the 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock train so that it links up, if that makes sense, because they're kind of separate. Like you can't actually buy your seat reservations through the Interrail app, which is really annoying. Okay, so at this point you should have bought your Interrail pass, you should have connected it to your global like Interrail app, and then you should have bought or like planned out your first train ticket about where you want to go, which is great. And then the next thing you need to know is step number 5, which is hostels. Okay, so choosing a hostel is actually the fun part of like interrailing. I think it's so fun. There's so many different ones you can choose from, and I remember being really like scared about like picking the first one because I thought like this is going to change the whole route of the trip, like I'm going to meet different people, I'm going to like do all this. But like in reality, anywhere you go you'll have like a different experience, and like you'll meet people like wherever you go. Like you can't really control it too much, otherwise you'll start to like overthink and it won't be good. The main hostel app that I would literally recommend anyone to use is Hostelworld. Looks like this. It's like the only app I use for the whole trip. I don't really think there's another, like there's probably other like substitutes, but like Hostelworld is the best one. Hostelworld is great because you put in your nights, like when you're gonna stay, and it comes up with like loads and loads of different hostels, like descriptions about them, pictures of them. It's basically the perfect place to find where you want to go. So about hostels, when you're looking for hostels, only filter it so that it's 8 stars and above. I didn't actually stay in a hostel that was lower than 8 stars, and I wasn't told this until like someone let me know that like they would never ever stay in a hostel that was less than 8 stars. So I would recommend sticking with that. Okay, so buying your first hostel, once you found out where you're gonna start your trip, you can look into like buying a hostel in that city. One thing I would say is make sure you look at when your check-in times is, because a lot of the time, most of the time, hostels only allow check-in from 2 or 3 p.m, usually 3 p.m. So when you're buying your train tickets to like each of the cities, have a think about when you're going to arrive, because also if you've got a massive bag on your back, you're not going to want to like wait around a city. You just want to get to your hostel. If you want to plan your train tickets, then you need to like plan it so you arrive like 2 or 3 p.m, so you're not like stuck in a city without anywhere to go. But yeah, on Hostelworld you can filter the price, you can filter the stars, you can add like specific needs, like if you want a kitchen. I would recommend getting a kitchen in your hostel so you can cook and things to make it cheaper. Okay, now you should have like your first train ticket booked and your first hostel booked. I would say the most important thing to do is just get this done. Like I put this off for ages, but once you've got your first train ticket and your first hostel, then you're pretty much ready to go. That's what I left like in that same situation. Like I had 1 train booked, the Eurostar, and then 1 hostel booked in Paris. Oh, one other thing to know, I just remembered. In like bigger cities, you need to look at the location of where your hostel is, because I didn't do this and ended up staying like a 40-minute walk away, which is fine, but I didn't actually realise. So if I'd like had looked at where it was on the map, that would have saved me like a walk. But if you go onto the Hostelworld website, you can see on the map like where your hostels are, so you just go for like a central one and you should be good. Okay, so that's pretty much it, like planning your trip wise, because what I did from that is when I arrived at each new place, maybe like a day in, I would look for the next place. So you don't have to plan everything out before you go. It can be way more fluid than that. You can have like way more flexibility because your plans might change, you might meet people, you might want to go somewhere else. So I think that's the best way to do it. If you plan out where you're going to go first and your first hostel, and then just kind of leave it to like chance, not to chance, but like have a rough idea in your head, but like don't be too strict on it because you might want to go somewhere else like during a trip. So I would say next steps to planning your trip would be have an idea of your rough route, but then when you get to each destination, that's when you look at your hostel. And I would always book my hostel first. So when I was in Paris, I booked my hostel for Bruges, like in Paris. But then after you've booked your hostel, then you again go on eurail app, find the train time that will match up to when you want to stay. So if you're like have the nights booked for the 22nd, 23rd, 24th, obviously you take your train on the 22nd, get there, book into your hostel, and then repeat the same cycle like as many times as you're going for your trip. But I hope you have the best time, and I can do more videos on like explaining like what hostels to go to. I feel like I've got so much like advice to give about like hostels, about routes, and I might make like other videos to like try give more advice and help. But yeah, thanks so much for watching, and hopefully this helped.